Well, the Springboks, even with all the changes they made, still too good for the Wallabies in Perth. 30 points to 12, with 3 of those tries coming from the maul. That maul is certainly, well, it's been a strength of the Boks for as long as I can remember, but this Australian side in particular has really big issues defending those mauls. They had troubles with the Welsh maul. So it's kind of not surprising that the Boks were able to exploit that area of the game as well. How the Boks didn't get more tries to the likes of Colby and Mapimpi and whatnot earlier on in the game, even Jesse Creel at the end, I don't know. South Africa could have had multiple more tries in this game. The Wallabies, whilst they showed some positives in terms of getting more than one try on the board. They didn't get any tries this week, although they got a higher score. They had a better tackling rate, but their still attack was kept very, very quiet. Jorgensen looked sharp off the bench. But yeah, the Boks bench really made a big difference. It was a close one at half time, but ultimately the Boks too good. Let's go over some key events and some stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one went. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, because there's plenty of rugby content coming out most days. South Africa didn't start well in the rain, and I must say both these games this weekend in the Rugby Championship didn't have the best weather forecast. It was wet in Perth, and South Africa started poorly with a knock on from the kickoff, putting themselves under some territorial pressure, which the Wallabies were able to punish when the Boks gave away a penalty at the breakdown. 3 points to 0 for the Wallabies. Perfect start for them. Both lineouts were looking a little bit scrappy. Again, it's wet, and especially with the Boks having made those changes, it's maybe not too surprising. Callaway just like fluffing his lines when trying to field a kick from Sasha feinberg-mngomezulu was bizarre, just in terms of a kind of pure skills fail. But yes, it was a little bit scrappy given the conditions, maybe not too surprising. And then we get these couple of moments where head and hands moment. I think Brian Habana said Russie must be pulling all his hair out because he was on commentary. How the Boks didn't score when Korobedi put a little chip kick through to Cheslin Colby, which is not always the smartest idea because that guy, give him any space and he's gone. Big line break from him. All Sasha feinberg-mngomezulu, who's a great player with a heap of potential, needs to do is basically catch it, run over for a try, but he knocks it on. Can't handle the final pass from Colby, so it's a blown try. And then from a restart from their own goal area, or 22, the Wallabies kick it to Mapimpi, who basically can just run in seemingly for a try, but no, Tom Wright with a great try-saving tackle on him. Tom Wright had a couple of good try-savers in this one, to be fair, but I feel like Mapimpi on another day maybe scores there. Sasha definitely scores his one if given another chance. But yeah, the Wallabies hanging on for a 3-0 lead. But it was evened up not too long later. South Africa on kind of third attempt to get some points when the Wallabies conceded a penalty to break down themselves. Opted for the 3-pointer to make sure they came away with some, points for the territorial pressure you got on. Makes sense. 3 points apiece. And then we finally see it from turnover ball, basically a minute after the 3 points have just been won. The Boks do open the try scoring. It is punishing turnover ball. I think it was Paisami who dropped the ball in a tackle. To Creel, to Mapimpi, with the grubber for Fussy. That's a hell of a back line, and it's a hell of a try. Fussy's got the gas to get there. He made Callaway look slow, and 8 points to 3 with the misconversion. But I think given the pressure that they'd had on the Wallabies not long earlier, a try had been coming. They got it later than they expected, but they got it. Murat, unfortunately, goes off for an HIA. He doesn't come back on, but it means a big shift for Eben Etzebeth in this one. Australia get 3 points from a penalty. South Africa get three penalty points back. So, it's still not really either side pulling away from this one, or maybe like the South Africans threatening to pull away from it. But the Wallabies are able to kind of maintain that kind of just close enough distance to keep it being a game. Colby intercepted a Nick White pass, which was a bold kind of call to go for the intercept because the Wallabies probably have numbers there if he misses the intercept, but he gets it. He's away, but again, that man Tom Wright makes a good tackle on him. Another game, you feel like Colby probably gets away from the defenders there, but nope. Like a good move to shut the Wallabies attacking play down, but not able to convert the points from it, but it's certainly a good chance. So kind of good plays both ways. And then like Lolosio with a wee chip and chase, which was a kind of wee break of their own. And Morne Funderburg penalty conceded for an early tackle on him, which was a late call from the officials, but they called it back to a 2-point game when it's 11 points to 9. Wallabies had a nice, maybe their best moment of the game for mine, a 50-22 from a scrum set play. That was a proper thing of beauty. Habana in commentary wasn't having a bar of it. He said it was taken back into their own half because of where the scrum was set, but it's a 50-22. Either way, leads to a penalty shot for the Wallabies with that territorial pressure before half-time, but that's Lolosio's moment to shank it. So the Wallabies could have gone into the half-time sheds with a marginal lead, but they end up going in 2 points behind. Again, it's been wet, so there's been some drop ball, which is to be expected, and the Boks have blown a few tries. The Wallabies, I don't think, have really looked like scoring a try, but they've been able to keep the scoreboard ticking over with penalty pressure, which is certainly a valid way to play games. Half-time, it's possession 51-49, pretty even, but the Boks have had 57% territory, but they've also had 5 knock-ons to 2, and that's a frustrating stat for them, I feel, because, as I said, some of those knock-ons were direct try-scoring chances. They've had more than double the Wallabies' run meters, and the Wallabies, impressively, are tackling at 94%, so hence only 1 try conceded, but then again, it could have been more. Second half, the Wallabies start with a couple of new props, although Slipper doesn't last long before going off for an HIA. And with Angus Bell injured, it's uncontested scrums for the rest of the game. And to be fair, the Wallabies scrum was doing okay. In the preview, I said I just wanted them to get a little bit of parity, not get pinged every time. And we were seeing a bit of that, but we didn't really get to see how that would have played out in the second half as the team's tired because, yeah, it was uncontested scrums. Sadly for the fixture, because they just look sad when there's no pushing going on. But Nick White got marched 10 metres, which I'm pretty sure every South African fan would have been cheering because he is not South African fans' favourite players after that kind of moustache swipe from Faf de Klerk moment. What was that, last year, 2 years ago? Yeah, he's not, is he public enemy number 1? Not quite that bad, but he's not that popular. So he gets marched 10 metres after being warned by the ref in the first half. So seeing a halfback get marched 10 no matter what country he plays for when they're a yappy one can be kind of mildly satisfying. And the Boks punish. Maul time. Nokia with the take, and Van Staden goes over. It's a weapon, and they did it well. 18 points to 9. And South Africa conceded, I think, second time penalty for playing the 9 this game, which the Wallabies were able to kind of hit back. Lolosio's kick only just went in off the post, but I feel like Russie's going to be a little bit frustrated with the kind of breakdown penalties conceded, which allowed the Wallabies to keep the scoreboard ticking over, but 12 points there, and that's the final points for the Wallabies for the game. Still a lot of game to go, and no more points for them. There's maybe a moment that I feel like is going to annoy a few fans when Nick White took out Lukhanyo Am kind of in the air. But I've seen those moments happen before when it's not like going for a high ball. It's just like there's a ball which you didn't have to jump for, but you jump for it and the guy bangs into you. Those don't usually get pinged, and it didn't get pinged in this one, so I don't really have a problem with that one. If you jump into a guy who's about to tackle you, you're probably not going to earn a penalty from it. That just tends to be the way the game is refereed. Sure, if it's a different story if you're both, or if like one's guy especially is going for a high ball, like a genuinely high up and under kind of kick, but I didn't have a problem with that one. But it got called back for Lukhanyo Am. I think it got kicked it kind of mid-air, volleyed it, the build up to that one anyway. A bit of magic, but there was a knock on in the build up anyway, so kind of nothing really happening from it. But the Boks basically, I feel like for the most of the remainder of this half, they just kind of squeezed the life out of the Wallabies. Like Norkia got pinged 1 metre out from for playing the ball while he's a member of the ruck. That was a bit of a let-off for the Wallabies. South Africa got a second maul try through Malcolm Marx, which is perfect to do in the wet, which made it 23-12. And then there's the biggest call of the game, I think, on 65 minutes when the Wallabies, who are too far behind to really go for threes anymore, they needed to score a try. And they opted for touch, which is what you have to do. They mauled it, which actually looked pretty effective. It got advantage. And then when they had chances again, they lost the line out. And then when they had another chance, Lukan Salakaia-Loto knocked it on. So, key moments where they needed to get points, they needed to find their attacking groove, and they couldn't get it done. Whereas then, you get on the other end, Uru gets yellow carded on the back of too many penalties conceded by the Wallabies, and the Boks punish with another maul try. It's Marx for his second, 30 points to 12. And almost a little bit later, one of the greatest tries ever in the fact that it was Pollard to Pieter-Steph du Toit out on the wing, goes so bloody close to the line. I forget who tackled him, but it was a hell of a tackle. Offload from the deck. Creel should probably score, but Fluffs' Lions can't catch the ball. So chance blown. So multiple chances blown. That would have been an absolute thing of beauty, but not to be. I mean, the best moment of the Wallabies second half was probably when Jorgensen came on and he fielded a cross kick at one point, got himself into some space, but nothing ended up happening from it. But yeah, some stats for you. Possession and territory finished pretty even. The territory stats edged towards South Africa, likewise the position, but not stupidly so. The defenders beaten are also pretty even, 10-12. The Boks have got a couple more. They've got double the clean breaks, 6-3, which is usually a more indicative stat about where teams are at, because clean breaks is genuinely more of like a catastrophic failure of the defensive line. I feel like the Boks would have liked to convert on more of those chances, because you don't need clean. If you get like 3 maul tries, that ain't based on clean breaks. And also knock-ons. Like South Africa had 14 turnovers conceded, which is pretty high, but it's wet, so it's kind of, it makes sense. The Wallabies had 11, but 10 of those are knock-ons, so too high, albeit in the wet. For the Wallabies, just they couldn't get any go-forward ball against the Boks defensive line. 211 metres from 89 carries is the initial reporting on the run meters. It'll be adjusted as they have a look back at the game, the old stats people, but the initial reporting is that, which is 2.3 meters a carry, which is dead low. Like 4 is what you want to be aiming for. The Boks are 3.9, so they pretty much got there. 377 from 97. Nice numbers. The Wallabies just could not get anything out of the Boks defense. Boks tackled at 92%. I mean, the Wallabies are at 91. Well, they're not missing tackles for these maul tries, but yeah. The Wallabies just couldn't find that kind of razor edge. Why do I use the word razor? Because I'm an All Blacks fan. They couldn't find that clinical edge against the Boks defensive line, which was really a shift. Thomas du Toit, 11 tackles. Pieter-Steph du Toit, 11 tackles. Pieter-Steph du Toit, 52 run meters, which is more than any of the Wallabies guys. Jorgensen had 42 from the bench. He's the best of the Wallabies guys for run meters. Colby had 78 and 2 clean breaks. Yeah. Jorgensen's quick. I thought Uru looked sharp until he got yellow carded, but the Wallabies were not getting a lot of punch, and it shows in the fact they couldn't get any tries. They didn't really look like close to scoring tries, which is troubling, but the Boks defense is better than most. You guys let us know what your thoughts are. Wallabies need to improve that maul defense before they head over to Argentina, and I will be very curious to see which team Russie picks in a couple of weeks for their first game against the All Blacks. I feel like it's going to be closer to team that played last week rather than this week, but he still got the result. It's a bonus point win. It's a bunch of experience gained for some of the youngsters, and yeah, top of the table in the Rugby Championship after 2 rounds for the Boks. Subscribe to the channel, leave us a like, leave us a comment down below with your thoughts. It'd be much appreciated, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.